and welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Yeshi Chonsom. Here are the headlines. Afghan woman defies conservative barriers to venture into the world of breakdancing. Sherpas who created history by climbing K2 in winters receive heroes' welcome at home. And world-famous Raja Rani Music Festival enthralls visitors through Indian classical music. Let's begin the show with India, which is leading the global fight against the COVID-19. While its multi-layered approach against the pandemic has helped it contain the infection rate at home, the vaccines produced in India are curing the world. Millions of doses have already been transported to several countries in South Asia and other parts of the world, making India a savior in the times of crisis.
Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, the Maldives, Bhutan and the Himalayan nation Nepal. The countries across South Asia and many other parts of the world have received millions of Made in India vaccine doses to begin their immunization programs. This comes as New Delhi has rolled out a two-pronged strategy to save its own citizens and the people across the world from the deadly pandemic. Over 5 million doses were flown this week to different parts of the world, with millions set to be transported in coming days. India, popular as the pharmacy of the world, has already agreed to supply more than 1 billion coronavirus vaccines to various countries and to the World Health Organization-backed COVAX initiative aimed at supporting poorer countries. Observers say that many low-income countries that have launched their immunization programs would have been waiting for aid or were bargaining for prices had it not been New Delhi that exported vaccines, most of which have been free till date just 4 days after its domestic immunization began. The Himalayan nation of Nepal launched its largest immunization campaign with its first coronavirus vaccination for medical workers, following a gift of 1 million doses from New Delhi.
हामीले छिटै नै यस खोपको सुरुवात गर्ने मौका पायौं। यसका निम्ति हाम्रो छिमेकी मित्र राष्ट्र भारत सरकार, भारतका जनता र खास गरी महामहिम प्रधानमन्त्री नरेन्द्र मोदी जी प्रति म धन्यवाद भन्न चाहन्छु कि उहाँहरूले आफूले सुरु गरेको हप्ता दिनभित्रै जसो हामीले सुरु गर्न सक्ने गरी हामीलाई 10 लाख डोज उपलब्ध गराउनु भएको छ, त्यही पनि डोनेसनमा।
New Delhi itself has launched the world's biggest immunization program of inoculating 300 million people in next 6 months. The international community, from the United Nations to the USA, believes that India has been at the forefront in fighting the pandemic and preventing an even worse crisis the deadly disease could have afflicted. While it is currently manufacturing 2 vaccines, the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine and one developed by the Indian pharmaceutical firm Bharat Biotech, 3 other Indian companies are close to wrapping up development of their own vaccines.
ये सुनकर WEF में सभी को तसल्ली होगी कि अभी तो सिर्फ 2 मेड इन इंडिया कोरोना वैक्सीन दुनिया में आई है। आने वाले समय में कई और वैक्सीन भारत से बनकर के आने वाली है। ये वैक्सीन्स दुनिया के देशों को और ज्यादा बड़े स्केल पर, ज्यादा स्पीड से मदद करने में ये पूरी तरह सहायता करेगी।
While many countries across the world are still reeling under the pandemic, India has contained the spread of the infections, with 20% of its region not reporting even a single case in the last few days. With all preventive measures in place, the life of the market seems to have returned, with the country projected to rebound on the losses it accrued during the crisis. The International Monetary Fund says India will be the only country in the world in the next 1 year to register a double-digit growth rate. Experts say that it won't be an overstatement if India is labelled as the country that has managed the crisis best in the world thus far.
Moving on to war-torn Afghanistan, where amid rising violence and killings, a story of passion and hope has surfaced. Maniza Talash, a high school student, has toppled conservative barriers to break into the world of breakdancing, a phenomenon that is considered foreign by religious hardliners and is taboo for Afghan women. However, Talash, who is banned at building a career in this dance form and sport, remains unfazed and is tirelessly pursuing her dream of representing her country in 2024 Paris Olympics.
A gym in downtown Kabul is the place where resolute Maniza Talash and her teammates jump and sway to the beat, working up a sweat breakdancing and doing head spins. In a society torn by escalating violence, Talash has overcome stiff resistance from both society and family to burst onto the scene of this dance form cum sport. And now, many others too have followed the lead of braving and breaking the conservatism. When she first joined the breakdancing club about 2.5 months ago, there were no girls there. Now it has 5. She hopes many more will join.
مثلا این رشته تازه شروع شده و دختر نداشت و یک رشته متفاوت است و من علاقه زیادی داشتم که به این رشته حتما بیایم و قبلا چون نبود همین که خبر شدم اینجا رشته آمده در افغانستان و بچهای خود ما از کابل هستن، از افغانستان هستن. من خیلی خوش شدم آمدم که این رشته را به مردم دیگه نشان بدم که رشته جدید هم آمده در افغانستان و میخوایم متفاوت باشه.
Anybody familiar with the US dance style would have ruled out its success in the war-torn country a few years back. Thanks to country's history battered by Taliban's ultra-hardline rule till 2001. Women were not allowed to receive education or leave the house without a male relative under Taliban control. Things have changed since its ouster, but the psyche of a large section of the society is yet to accept women in modern roles and fields. However, determined Afghan women like Talash have gone on to accomplish their goals despite all the barriers. Talash aspires to represent her country in the Olympics, where breakdancing will be a medal event from 2024.
مردم همیشه انرژی منفی میتن، گپای مثبت نمیزنن بلکه منفی میزنن. مثلا که ما مسلمان هستیم و رقص در افغانستان گناه است چون اسلام است، ما مسلمان هستیم و این یک کشور اسلامی است. مثلا بعضی‌هاشون ما را تهدید کردن که اگه گیر ما بیایی را توته میکنیم و از این گپا. خب ولی ما نمیخوایم که بازم منصرف شوم.
Taliban, which is now engaged with the government in the intra-Afghan dialogue, has hinted of a better life to women on its return to mainstream. However, peace doesn't seem to be returning anytime sooner in the country, with the insurgents escalating offensive despite an ongoing peace process. Afghan Human Rights Commission says that 2020 was the deadliest years for Afghans, when around 8 civilians were killed every day. With US troops withdrawing rapidly and a fresh Washington policy in waiting, the challenges for the less experienced Afghan security system are only going to become bigger. This might have pushed the future of Afghan women towards uncertainty, but they are just not ready to back down. They say they are ready to take every challenge head on.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
Railway stations across China have carried out various measures on COVID-19 epidemic prevention and control to curb the spread of the virus and protect the safety of passengers as the Spring Festival travel rush kicked off. Although this year the travel flow has seen a great drop, railway stations in Beijing still strictly follow the epidemic prevention and control stipulations. Unlike the previous years, every train at the railway stations has been disinfected before it starts off, and signs to remind the passengers to keep 1 meter distance have been sticked on the floor on the platforms and waiting rooms. Passengers will go through temperature check machines before they get into stations. In Zhengzhou East Station, staff members carried out a large-scale disinfection in the station to protect the safety travel of passengers. More face mask vending machines have been added in the station for passengers who forget face mask. The newly opened Beijing Harbin Singh Speed Railway welcomed its first spring festival travel rush. To ensure the fresh air in the trains, the bullet trains optimize its ventilation system on the Harbin section of the railway. The 40-day 2021 Spring Festival Travel Rush started on January 28 and will end on March 8. Japan's health ministry carried out mock inoculations for COVID-19 vaccines in a nursing school gym in Kawasaki in Kanagawa Prefecture. Nurses led yellow vest-clad volunteers into booths for mock injections and then left them in a waiting area for 30 minutes to check for allergic reactions as part of a drill for the actual vaccine rollout. Officials said this facility could deal with around 30 patients per hour if 5 nurses are deployed and would open and close depending on vaccine supplies. Some Tokyo residents said they were in favor of the government holding a drill long before the actual vaccine drive begins. Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga has said vaccines are critical to holding a successful Olympics after last year's delay. The first shots for medical workers are planned at the end of February, leaving just 145 days until the start of the Games on July 23rd. Japan will need to deliver about 870,000 injections a day to inoculate half its population by then, with each person needing 2 shots. A giant panda with a craving for bamboo was captured by an infrared camera chopping on its favorite tree in the Fangtongzai National Nature Reserve in Baoxing County of southwest China, Sichuan Province. It is the same giant panda that was captured twice by the camera last year. The camera was installed by the Nature Reserve personnel. The footage shows the giant panda sitting on ground, then turning around to put a bamboo to its mouth. While enjoying the tasty treat, the furry creature was not satisfied as it kept its eye out for more fresh bamboo. After some time, it finally had enough and left the area. A few days later, the camera captured the same panda returning to the place again for more of the delicious bamboo leaves. Its childish look is really fun to see.
Moving on to Nepal, where the group of Sherpas that became the first team ever to climb K2, the second highest peak in winters, received heroes' welcome on their return to home. The 10-man team climbed 8,611-meter K2 peak on 16th of this month. The K2 peak was climbed for the first time in 1954 and saw 6 winter attempts before this one, all ending in failure.
This group of men receiving cheers upon its landing at the Kathmandu airport has scripted history. They are climbers who have made the first successful winter summit of K2, the world's second tallest peak that turns deadly in winters owing to its treacherous and steep terrains. Fans and family who were edgy along their expedition placed colorful Buddhist prayer scarves on the climbers' shoulders on their arrivals. They call them heroes, and heroes they are, for they are the first in many others who tried ascending K2 but failed. Some even lost their lives. Nirmal Purja, a famous mountaineer and the climbing leader of this Sherpa group, attributed their success to team spirit and a resolve to raise their country's pride.
As a team, we feel really proud, we feel really honored, and I think we send a really clear message to the world. If you unite, nothing is impossible. So everybody's happy here, and thank you so much for all the press and all our friends for being here today this morning. Thank you so much.
Their success was marred by the death on the mountain of renowned Spanish climber Sergi Minguet, who fell down a crevasse as he attempted to make his way down to base camp. From Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to the common citizens of the country, everybody congratulated the team for making their country proud. The mountain was first climbed in 1954 but had never summited in the winter. The Sherpas, people belonging to a Nepalese ethnicity, however, were confident of making it this time. Earlier, the climbing leader Nirmal Purja, who holds the record of climbing the world's 14 highest mountains in the shortest time of 6 months and 1 week, said the K2 ascent was a huge achievement for all climbers to celebrate.
In a bigger mission like this, if you are not confident, then who's going to be? And then if you are not confident, why you are there? And as long as you believe here and you believe in your chest, just go for it. And this is a simple message in life. There are so many things. And this is like K2 winter, but this is not about climbing K2 winter. In all your life, we all have our own mountain to climb. As long as you believe in yourself, and then you give it from your here and here, everything is possible.
Nepal, commonly known as the Himalayan nation, homes some of the tallest peaks in the world. The Nepal-Tibet border roughly follows the line of the highest part of the range of the Great Himalayas, featuring several of the world's highest peaks. From Mount Everest to Kanchenjunga to Annapurna, these permanently snow-covered mountains overlook huge glaciers. Thousands of climbers land in Nepal from across the world to make their ascent peaks. While many fail, there are a few who inscribe their initials at the highest point on earth.
Next, we move on to our cultural section, where we take you to explore the Raja Rani Music Festival that imbibes the tradition and culture of Eastern Indian state of Odisha. Organized in capital Bhubaneswar, the festival was conceptualized in such a way that it acts as the perfect platform for classical Indian music. Held in the Raja Rani temple, the festival mesmerized the audience.
Odisha is known for its ancient temples and rich culture, which is always reflected in the fairs and festivals. Recently, the melodious Raja Rani Music Festival was organized in the state capital Bhubaneswar that celebrates the charishma of Odissi, the classical music form of Odisha. The music event was held in the lush green ambience in the precinct of the magnificent Raja Rani temple. Artists from across the country participated in the 3-day music festival. The festival, which is organized every year, features seasoned and promising vocalists and instrumentalists.
I am very much associated with the Raja Rani Music Festival, which has already earned the international fame. The Department of Tourism started this music program for classical music, to make classical music more popular among the public, among the general people, and also attract the tourist attraction.
The festival celebrated the richness of Indian classical music and provides a good opportunity for budding artists as well. Against the backdrop of the Raja Rani temple, the musical evenings of this festival is dazzling with performances by renowned instrumentalists and vocalists of India. The audience were swept away after listening to the euphonious music.
dating back to the 11th century. This radiant temple is so inspiring, and I think it's one of a kind because the ambience that is being created here for especially a musical concert is something remarkable. I'm extremely grateful to the festival organizers.
The key highlights of the festival were the genius of Hindustani, Carnatic, Sufi and Odisha's homegrown Odissi music. The festival attracted a large number of locals as well as tourists.
It's a simply fantastic experience with the Rajarani temple at the background and the international artists performing before a very enlightened audience. It's simply fantastic. No words can explain the experience. And I think the artist must be feeling proud of such an audience and such an atmosphere as well.
The festival folds back to the age-old tradition of music, which is the cornerstone of spirituality. Today, these types of cultural festivals have successfully created a good space for themselves in the cultural map of the country by bringing numerous talented artists on a single platform and have helped Bhubaneswar emerge as a top classical music destination in the country.
It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Yeshi Chonsom signing off on behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.